It's time to get physical once again. Jordan here, back again with this week's update on all the physical releases coming to the Nintendo Switch. This week's cutoff points are the 28th of October until November the 1st, Monday to Friday, technically week 5 of October. And boy is it an absolute monster this week. Strap yourselves in, grab a cup of tea because we have a lot to get through. As always, if you want this series to keep going, leave us a comment with what's taking your fancy this week. What are you playing in your backlog, and what is the most recent addition to your collection? Personally, as I put on Twitter, my lovely Dragon Quest Trilogy arrived nice and early. Anybody else get theirs? Let us know yours, and let's get on with it. How much Disgaea do you need? Well, NIS America think you need it all. Following on from Disgaea 5, Disgaea 1 Remake, we're now getting an enhanced port of Disgaea 4 called Complete Plus. Hundreds of hours of over-the-top tactical content. If you're looking for a game to last you a good while, then here you go. The big question is, when are we getting Disgaea 2 and 3? Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD is a port of probably the last Monkey Ball game that anybody wanted. This is the Wii game that was met with widespread apathy when it was a launch title for the system, and despite the first two games in the series being absolutely legendary. But who knows, maybe Sega made some much needed adjustments now that motion controls are out of the window. There is a demo on the eShop to try for yourself. Close to the Sun is a first-person horror adventure game which is receiving a lot of comparison to Bioshock thanks to the stylish Art Deco designs found within. It was met with mixed reception when released on PC earlier this year, but hopefully the half a year between that and this release will have allowed some well-needed ironing out for the console versions. Anybody picking this up in time for Halloween? Aladdin and The Lion King were two of the best licensed games ever made, and even though that may not sound like a high bar, believe me, these were extraordinary at the time when pretty much any licensed movie tie-in was almost a guarantee to be a dumpster fire. But these two games, especially Aladdin on the Mega Drive, is still very highly regarded to this day for good reason. In this Disney Classics package, you're getting multiple versions of both these games at a budget price for a physical, so I'm definitely on board with this. Who's going to be picking up these Disney classics? Harvest Moon Mad Dash could well be the most hated game of this year. Well, unless Blizzard have a surprise release up their sleeve. While the heart of the Harvest Moon series resides in the Story of Seasons games these days, Harvest Moon as a brand and name is a husk of its former self, and perhaps this is the most misguided attempt at the franchise yet. I don't have much affinity for the series personally, but I can see why this release is being absolutely loathed by longtime fans of the Harvest Moon name. Fast-paced multiplayer farming frenzy is not quite what people look for in a farming life sim. But anyways, October 29th is the date. Vampire is one of those AA underdog titles that I just adore, a gothic adventure RPG with plenty of goodness to go around. I know James is busy working on his review as I write this, so look forward to seeing some more in-depth thoughts about it in the near future. If his review is out by the time you're watching this, I'll pop a notification card in the top right hand corner, and be sure to subscribe so you don't actually miss it. Forager is a game that I don't know a whole lot about, but I've seen a lot of people talking about it oddly enough. It's been available digitally since the summertime, but this humble bundle publication is seeing a physical release this week. Puzzles, survival, crafting, all the hallmarks of a solid indie game, and perhaps one to take a look at. Wargroove was one of the most hotly anticipated indie games to come to the Switch, and when it did during last winter, it was a huge success, storming to the top of the eShop charts thanks to tapping into that much-missed Advance Wars hole in our hearts. We reviewed it and gave it a very high score, check that out. Well, now it's getting a physical release, which means that those who passed on the digital release can finally jump on board too and see what it's all about. Plus, you get a manual, maps, stickers, and a download code for the awesome soundtrack. The Resident Evil triple pack contains Resident Evil 4 on the cartridge and download codes for both Resi 5 and 6. Really not the ideal way to play the game, and you would wish they were all on one cartridge, but I guess due to the lack of effort in the ports, they've not bothered to lower the bloated file size. I guess it's not bad for those who want Resi 4 physically and consider the other two as more of a bonus, which I personally would, because let's face it, it's the best one. Although Resi 5 is an amazing co-op action game though. 29th of October for this one. Remothered is releasing on the 31st, a timely Halloween release as you play as Jodie Foster, well, someone who looks like her, in this survival horror game. It's supposedly decent but not amazing, but we'll reserve judgment ourselves as we haven't played it. Anyone out there played this before? Let us know how it is. Atelier Riser, Ever Darkness and The Secret Hideout is the latest Atelier game to hit the Switch, and certainly won't be the last. There are about 59 of these games on the Switch so far, but this one is the latest one and I reviewed it not too long ago. A very solid option for a more chilled take on the JRPG genre. Check out my review for more information on this beautiful looking game. Luigis Mansion 3 is undeniably the biggest release this week, a massive, highly anticipated first-party title from Nintendo. Luigi is back in the limelight, and deservedly so, because let's face it, everyone loves Luigi more than they love Mario, right? The third game in the well-loved series looks to be the biggest and best yet, as Luigi explores a haunted hotel to battle the ghoulish spooks. This is firmly on my list of games to get when it releases just in time for Halloween night on October 31st. Who's picking this one up? Ghost Parade is an adventure platformer full of ghoulish spirits to keep you company. There's some lovely artwork that is supposedly based on Indonesian folklore, which definitely has me interested, always happy to explore more cultures around the world that aren't always known to Western audiences. Anyways, November the 1st is supposedly the day of this release. Race with Ryan is due for release on November the 1st. This is a kart racing game with YouTube sensation Ryan. At least that's what the press release says. In reality, I have no idea who Ryan is. But this might be okay for kids, I suppose, although the Switch isn't shy of great kart races. Microids are all about giving you options in playing the Siberia games on the Switch. Not only do we have each game available individually as separate releases, but then you have the double pack of the first two games, and very soon, on October 31st, the Siberia Trilogy. All three games on one cartridge, just in time for Siberia 4, which is due sometime next year. Gungun Pixies, according to my sources at P-Cube, is finally releasing in North America on the 1st of November. I know I've mentioned this game before, but hopefully this very weird curiosity will finally release with the Day 1 edition. It's already out in Europe and has been for a long time, but November the 1st seems to be the magic date for the US. Hopefully so I can stop mentioning it now. Now it turns out that I did miss a few games last week to my utter shame, so here's a quick roundup of what was missing. I'm sure you'll forgive me for some of them. Spiel is a mainland European game, perhaps only in Germany. Anyways, it's a licensed game based on kids' toys or something. Winter Sports Games was supposedly released on the 24th, at least according to Nintendo's press release. Looks to be another mainland European exclusive. Rossier Code de la Rue is a French highway code guide. Not really a game, but it is what it is. Needed to add this for completionist's sake, so yeah, if you're looking to pass your test in France, this may be a nice option for you. Also, I did see a press outlet report that Let's Sing 2020 is being released, although as far as I can tell the physical version seems to be coming later in November, but not 100% sure on that. As mentioned last week, I'd appreciate any mainland European dudes to hit me up on Twitter so you can tell me about your local exclusives. They are so easy for me to miss. Find me at SoWhatAboutGame. Heading into uncertainties, we have a trio of games from the same publisher whose release dates are slippery as though they're made of soap. Funbox Media's Junior League Sports, Helmet, and Everspace are all saying November the 1st in multiple places, and I've tried to contact Funbox Media 3 times via email, Twitter, and Facebook to get clarification, but they didn't reply to me, so I don't know. On the 29th of October, Children of Mota, I've been told so by Merge Games themselves, is receiving the physical goods in the US. It's already out in the UK, and despite being told from the horse's mouth, I'm still putting this one in uncertainties due to American websites persisting with later in November. Anyways, Children of Mota is a nice looking action RPG, a roguelike with strong storyline, great visuals, 6 playable characters. It looks like a decent release, at least one to keep an eye on. Also, it has a signature edition version with some awesome extra goodies. Hopefully we can show that off to you in the future. Before we get into today's low print games, just a reminder that if you're new here, hit that subscribe button for awesome weekly content like this, bargains, as well as a healthy dollop of all the latest Switch reviews. Plus, you'll be in with the chance of winning a Nintendo Switch Lite and copy of Zelda Link's Awakening once we hit 50,000 subscribers. It could be you. Okay, low print games now. At the time of writing, Super Rare Games are prepping for their reveal of their next Switch release, although they have not explicitly said what it is yet. They've done a lot of teasers, and I'm sure by the time this video goes out, it will be revealed already, but too late for me to edit into the video. Sadly, I've got deadlines to meet, guys. But going by the teasers, some very, very epic dude on Twitter at Runic Gear seems to have solidly identified it as Steam World Quest. We wouldn't be surprised. Battle Princess Madeline Royal Edition is a highly updated version of the game that was released earlier on the Switch, which by the way has an English physical release in Asia. But anyways, this one is by Limited Run Games. It's unclear as to whether this is a whole different version or just the old version with added content. It's kind of confusing. You'd think that this sort of thing would be cleared up. Anyways, pre-orders for this went live on the 25th of October. On the 29th, Special Reserve Games version of My Friend Pedro is going up for pre-order, but this is also getting a standard retail release elsewhere in November, I think. A little confusing. I'm not sure what the point is. But anyways, before we get into the imports, if you want to support the show and buy your games at the same time, then we have affiliate links for every game talked about here, as far as we can find. We have Amazon US, Amazon UK, and Play Asia for those imports. So if you're going to buy the game anyways, consider helping us out too. These affiliate links help us out massively to keep improving the show for you guys. Imports. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 is releasing in Japan on the 1st of November, although no real need to import this one as I'll talk about it next week when it's due for release in the West. Model debut #Nicola is releasing in Japan on November the 1st. It's a fashion simulator from what I can tell, but there's no English on the cartridge, so I'm not seeing much need for an import really, but there is a link below if you actually want to. Your Toy is releasing in Asian regions and possibly in Japan on November the 1st, a first-person horror adventure game. This has already been released digitally back in May to mostly mediocre response. If you fancy importing this one, well, it's a nice option for collectors because it does have English on the cartridge. And there we go, not the most thrilling imports this week. Will you be picking up any of them? Moving on to this week's Spotlight Physical, I just chose one game at random this week because Halloween thematics are overrated. And I don't have any horror games left. My finger landed on Mercenaries Saga Chronicles. This is a collection of 3 of the Mercenaries games that are bite-sized, turn-based strategy games with a heavy dose of Final Fantasy Tactics as their inspiration. There is a lack of depth and meat to them, but if you're looking for a Final Fantasy Tactics kick, then it's a fine option. I believe this physical copy was only published in America as far as I can tell, but we'll pop an Amazon US link for those in the EU who want to get their hands on this quite little unique package. And there we have it, guys, all the physical releases coming this week, an absolutely mental week. I'm exhausted just from researching it, and I'm terrified that I've missed something. Let me know if there was an oversight somewhere, and I'll rectify it in next week's episode. Be sure to check out last week's episode, which needs all the help it can get. Numbers are falling on this series very quickly, so it needs your support if you missed it. Plus, there is a playlist of all the episodes for your perusal. And check out some of the reviews that we've done for this week's episode, starting with Atelier Riser. I'll see you guys over there. Take care.